Well, does everybody remember the end of the last video when I said that applicator bar needed to be on a tractor with more lead in its ass? Well, another 1.25 inches of rain today is forcing my hand, so it's going to be put on a tractor with more lead in its ass. I already knocked down enough corn yesterday going through wet spots and getting squirrely and all that, and another 1.25 inches of rain on the wet holes I still got to get through, plus the muck. We're not even screwing around with the 2-wheel drive tractor anymore. We're skipping right over doing a bigger. We're going right to King of the Hill. With the duals off, this thing is set up on a 61-inch tread width for straddling 30s. I don't know if you can get it all the way down to an even 60. I mean, you might be able to get it all the way down to an even 60, but 61 with 18-438s, you're plenty skinny. The 1950T set up on a 63, 64-ish tread width, and it straddles 30s. Poor old girl needs a bath, what she needs. But the hitch goes down to cat 2, so I'll pick the toolbar up, and it's 4-wheel drive, so we ain't got to worry about the wet holes. I wanted to avoid this because handling these big cast iron bastards is not fun, but this is the tractor I got that can do the job. This is where a front wheel assist would be. Although that being said, even at that, this thing's got more under axle clearance than a front wheel assist would. So it would still makes more sense to use this over a front wheel assist, because that's kind of what the 4150 was made for. It was made for row cropping. That's why it got the bar axles over the planetaries, and that was this tractor's forte, was row cropping. So I gotta go get a jack, and we're gonna jack it up, and I'm gonna get the forklift, and we're gonna need a strap, and we're gonna pull all the duals off. And Lily, you get out of the road. No, Lily, don't not look at me and keep walking the other way, you little brat. You little brat. So, and along with all that rain, we got a bunch of wind. I didn't see anything major at my house, but I guess there's a limb blew off the birch tree down the road there, or that, and stuff all over. I guess the roof blew off the lean-to on the neighbor's barn down here, which is technically one of the old barns from our family farm. I'd really like to buy this half-acre or whatever it is right back here to square the field off and get the barn back. But anyway, the roof blew off that lean-to, or the roof covering. It had a rubber mat roof on it. And despite all that, somehow that poor bastard up there on the hill with its shitty foundation and its lean and everything else just keeps taking all this wind and laughing it off. I'm waiting for it to blow in a pile one of these days and be gone, but it's nothing any of us can afford to put a foundation under. Actually, I don't even want to put a foundation under it. What I want to do is backfill all the way around it and put a bank, and then fill the basement in with dirt and pour a concrete pad. That way you don't got to worry about a basement, and then you can throw ratchet binders around the sill beam and pull it back up square on top of the pad, and it can just sit there on a concrete pad, and then it'll never fall down. But that still takes money that we don't have. So anyhow, let me get stuff around, and we'll get the duals off of her and get her set up on the toolbar. Alright, I got to thinking, it's like, you know what, jacking that thing up is way too much work. Why don't I just pull it up on blocks? So I found a couple blocks to run it up on, and before I do anything, we're gonna take all the big bolts out of all the wheels so that I don't have to keep switching sockets. Okay, let's roll her forward a little bit. I didn't feel it come up. I don't know if them blocks are... Oh yeah, that was plenty. That was just about perfect. Now, I can't remember if we were able to do this with one strap or if we needed two. Too much stuff sitting everywhere. Poor old girl needs a bath is what she needs. But we ain't to that point yet. And now I need to rewash the 1800 because Dad power washed it a couple weekends ago and I kind of got it all dirty again. Okay. to convert this down to category 2. We just have to flip these blocks, or the sway blocks, over, which that takes a 15/16. It looks so tiny without the dual. I mean, it's not a big four-wheel drive to begin with. It's a pretty small one, but it looks so tiny with the duals off. I mean, I'm pretty sure the only four-wheel drive, I mean, full size, I mean, obviously you got like squallies and holders and a little like garden tractor size four-wheel drive, but I'm pretty sure as far as like agricultural full-size four-wheel drives go, the only thing that might be smaller than a 4150 is a Wagner WA4. In physical stature. There's tractors with lower horsepower like the D100 and G100 Versatiles. Those are obviously lower in horsepower, but I'm pretty sure physically they're about the same size. Actually, the Versatiles might have a slightly longer wheelbase. I think it'd be cool to have like a, what was the next one up from the D100, a D145. I like Versatiles. If I ever had a chance, I'd like to get one. Well, I had a chance many moons ago before I bought this. The guy that used to, or if you go back and pay attention in the videos working in this field down here, you'll notice a farm right across the street with a run-down old house and a bunch of run-down old barns, which they're all run down because nobody, the landowner's an absentee. Well, there's actually a longer story behind it, but regardless, the guy that used to farm, or that used to own that farm and farm all the ground up here on the corner, and he had ground out, or his main farm was out north of, or his main family farm was out north of town. He had a triple nickel, and his nephew wanted me to buy it, and that was back, I can't remember if I had just bought, it was either right after I had bought this or right before I had bought this, either way. But it had, and it was, when he bought that tractor was like his baby. It got washed, it got waxed, that tractor was his baby. But after his passing and it wasn't his son, or was it his, I can't remember the relation, but one of his younger relation came over and tried to take the farm over, and that lasted for, I don't even know if he got a full 2 years out of it. Maybe he did. But in that time, he virtually destroyed that poor tractor. And at the time I was looking at buying it, fourth gear was completely out of it. It had been sitting outside for like 5-6 years. And no, it probably wasn't that long. It's probably like 3-4 years. Time flies when you get old. And I'm not even that old, but it feels like everything pre-COVID just kind of like. But anyhow, it hadn't ran in that time. It had been sitting outside. Sitting outside had taken its toll on it rather quickly. And fourth gear being out was the big kicker. Plus, the triple nickel Versatile had the triple nickel Cummins in it, and as far as V8s go, if you had to have one, a 3208 is 10 times the motor a triple nickel was, and that's not saying a whole lot. And we'll try this one first. And I thought that tractor had disappeared for good, and I was driving out north of town the other day, and I noticed, I'm pretty sure I saw the nose of it sticking out from behind the barn at his family's farm north of town, which now I can't remember. Another one of his relations took that over, and he keeps it up really nice, and he took over probably half of Teddy's ground-ish, but he does a really nice job of keeping that farm up. But I'm thinking that he ended up with that triple nickel and it's sitting back there behind the barn, because those big old blocky Versatile yellow girls are kind of hard to mistake. But the biggest problem with Versatile, for what I would want a four-wheel drive for, is the vast majority of them you find are drawbar tractors. Not too many of them have 3-point PTO. Anyhow, like I say, finding Versatiles with 3-point PTO is not, I'm not gonna say they don't exist, but the vast majority of them were just drawbar tractors. You might find one with a PTO. But like right now, it's not that I don't know if I did use the 3-point on this last year because I field cultivated with it. But it's not like I use the 3-point on this thing often, but it is a handy feature to have. And if I ever get a bigger grain cart to put behind it, you're gonna need a PTO, because you can't have a PTO, or you can't have a grain cart without a PTO unless you convert the grain cart to hydraulic drive, which that's a whole nother can of worms. But while I'm doing this, I have a subscriber sent to me a better actual, not fabric-cobbled beat to heck Cat 2 top, or white Cat 2 top link for this that I keep forgetting is over in the tool shed at the house. It's just stuck, which I don't think it'll take much to get it unstuck. But I want to go grab that real quick, because if I can use it rather than this sloppy son of a bitch, because this poor thing's about had it. But I'm gonna go get that top link real quick and see if we can free it up so I can use that, because that was a good tight top link, other than the fact that it was stuck. Okay, here's the better top link, which is actually the correct top link for that tractor anyhow. And this end's free. That when he sent it to me, he'd already been soaking it, and this side's free and the nut's free. The nut needs a new nubbin welded on it for a handle, but we can worry about that later. This side's stuck, so I'm guessing it just needs the proper application of leverage in the proper spot. Oh. Well, I guess it wasn't that stuck. Actually, I'm wondering. I think it was stuck in that spot because if you look right, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, right about that third thread in right there, it's got a slight to it. But that's okay. We don't need to run it in any further than that anyhow. Well, that was easier than I thought. It's nice when it doesn't need heat. So I guess real quick, I just need to get, I mean, I don't need to, but since I'm here, I will. That needs freed up real quick. So all this is the nut with a captured spring and a plug. Or, well, it's a stem with a plug on the end that holds the ball in. Now, should the spring. Alright, and a little cleaning later. This pin is just made to drop straight through the hole, and this retaining plug goes in. You shove the spring and the plunger in from the bottom, and then you can just drive a roll pin through the hole and gives you something to get a hold of to release it. Unfortunately, it's a goofy thread pitch, and we do not have a tap to chase it with. Which, there wasn't really anything wrong with the threads, I just knocked some stuff in there while I was cleaning the hole out. You got that all assembled. Where did I set? Ta-da! So now we got a good top link to put on that, and we can go get hooked up to the car. Alright, everything's hooked up. I do have to, because this thing picks up so damn high compared to everything else, I gotta move the 3-point stop to the front side of the back side of the lever, so you can only pick up so high. That way we don't stress that trailer hitch. But that right there is probably roughly how high the 1800 picked it up. So the hoses for the wings are long enough, which that was what I was worried about, because I got to thinking, it's like, you know, when I made those, I was headed on the 1800. And that's got a coupler on either side instead of both of them banked right on the right hand side. But the hoses are long enough, so happen to think that I haven't, I'm pretty sure I have determined that my gear oil getting into the hydraulic oil from the PTO, because it hasn't really moved since I completely disconnected the PTO from the hydraulic system. So I really need to drain the reservoir and refill it with hydraulic oil. I'm really curious to see how well this thing tracks behind a 4-wheel drive versus a 2-wheel drive, because your turning geometry is going to be way different. Let's just take her around the horseshoe and see, eh? Because obviously when you got it behind a 2-wheel drive and you turn, you're going to whip it. But basically now you've got 3 articulation points, so you're no longer going to, it whips a little bit. I don't know, you watch it though and it kind of follows the arc of the front end. This is going to be a whole nother learning curve because I've never row cropped with a 4-wheel drive before. This is going to be different. Doesn't whip as hard, it kind of just follows the tractor around, really. Well, now whether or not we can go tomorrow depends entirely on whether or not we get any more rain tonight like they're talking, because now they're saying we're supposed to get rain tonight and early in the morning. And then it's supposed to clear off later in the day. So, but I did order a new set of orifices for that, which might be here tomorrow, more likely Wednesday. Yeah, what was I? Oh, I also ordered new tips for the sprayer because those things are getting up there in years, so I figured it's probably time for them. So I figured I'd make an order out of it. But orifices for this is the big deal. I might need to lengthen that top link a little bit, but I'll worry about that later when I got it unfolded again. So this is going to be interesting. Definitely going to be a little different learning curve, but normally I never bother cleaning up these lower windows because they just end up covered in dust again. But since we're going to be playing in the mud, there ain't going to be no dust. So I cleaned them off so that you can see down the row. So, but there's 20 acres I gotta go look at tonight and see if I can even get over them anymore, because they're planted at the same time as this field down here, and that one was pushing it. And if I can't get over them, I'm just gonna have Helena spread urea over those two with their high boy so that I don't have to worry about it. But everything else I should be able to get over just fine, so time will tell. So anyhow, I guess with that being complete, we just gotta wait for go time. So that's it for this one, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.